7th win coming off of the COVID-19 list for tonight's game against the Cowboys after missing last week's loss to the Steelers. Stephen A., will Lamar get the Ravens to the playoffs this season?
I suspect not. I think that they have struggled a little bit too much this year. I know they've got a relatively weak schedule coming up, but the way the Steelers they're still in the position that they're in at 11-1, so they're not going anywhere. The Cleveland Browns have ascended. There's no doubt about it. Kevin Stefanski is doing an outstanding job, along with the rest of the team, and Baker Mayfield isn't making mistakes. In the AFC East, you still have Buffalo. I don't think Miami's going to fade. In the South, you've got Tennessee and Indy. And in the West, you've got Kansas City. So to me, I look at it and I'm saying, I just find it hard to believe that the Ravens are going to find a way to overcome. Could they pull it off? Yeah. I'm just not so certain about it. I'm not confident about it. If I had to venture to guess or bet on it today, my answer would be no.
My hunch is actually against the odds. My hunch is yes, Lamar Jackson's going to help get him there. Not just because, first of all, the schedule, what they have coming up. Browns are good, but that's a winnable game. I mean, they thrashed the Browns first game of the season. Jags, Giants, who are playing better, and Bengals, but none of those are unwinnable games. And they have a chance to win all four. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, and this is speculative on my part, guys, I acknowledge it, but remember when Cam was really struggling in New England? All of a sudden, and this predates his being diagnosed with COVID, he didn't play very well when they beat the Raiders. Nevertheless, they won that game. And then he had COVID, he missed the game. Then for a couple weeks, he was really bad. And then he got back to being good again. Even in the loss against the Bills, he was playing more like he was playing earlier in the season. And then recently, they've been good again. This is my theory, and I'm applying it to the Ravens. It's totally speculative. I look at when they really started not doing well. And remember, you can be asymptomatic with COVID in a way that you're not going to test for like a while, for like over a week. I look at when the Ravens' season started hitting a rough patch. They lose to the Patriots and the Titans and the Steelers. Now, the Steelers, they were without their quarterback. But I wonder how much Lamar was already feeling effects before that, if, in fact, he'd already had it. And remember when so this is assuming that he gets back and he gets back healthy, because it can have lingering effects. But if Lamar Jackson gets back and gets back healthy, I suspect we're going to see a similar version to what we saw before, like weeks and weeks before he was diagnosed. And if that's the case, if he was compromised somehow medically because of that, I think that we're underrating him right now. I think Lamar from last year is closer to the real Lamar than the one we've seen recently, and I think he gets them there.
I'm in the same vein with you, Max. I think this run by the Ravens is about to happen. When you look at this team, too, and a lot of people didn't mention, I thought the loss of Calais Campbell and Brandon Williams in some of those games were huge. And especially when you play the Cleveland Browns, you're going to need all hands on deck defensively. And then, too, we forget, because we get enamored with Lamar Jackson and talking about the inefficiency of a pass game for the Ravens. And I am concerned with Andrews being out, but fortunately, they have the damn Dallas Cowboys, so they don't have to have everybody at full strength to win this game. But when you look at the Ravens as far as getting healthy down the stretch, we looked at the Ravens play the Pittsburgh Steelers, turn the ball over 4 times, and that still be a one-possession game. I think this team is more closer in that vein than they are in some of the struggles that we've seen them have. The time to sit back and evaluate, too, for Lamar Jackson. Look at what this team has had the ability to do in previous years leading into this. When we start talking about the regular season, I'm not getting into the playoffs because I don't know if the Ravens still have enough offensively to do anything in the playoffs as far as making a push to go to the Super Bowl. But in this regular season, looking at that schedule, it's a real possibility that they may not lose a game the rest of the way. I know what Cleveland just did to the Tennessee Titans, and it was very impressive by what Baker Mayfield did against that defense. But the Ravens defense ain't the Tennessee Titans defense. This is going to be a different animal. And sometimes it gets lost by the wayside of how good this Ravens defense can be. And we get lost in this whole idea that if Lamar Jackson doesn't play well, or if he's not playing MVP level, or not rushing for 150 yards and doing all kind of exciting things with his legs and with his arm, that this team can't win football games. You know what the Ravens did when they played the Steelers last time? Ran for 268 yards. That team understands how to win and grind out games in the regular season. I got to put emphasis on that because we all know what has happened in the playoffs. I believe in my heart of hearts that the Ravens, Stephen A., will make a push. And at the end of when we sit here at the end of this season, when we done with the regular season, I wouldn't be shocked if the Ravens went undefeated from this point on.
Well, what I would say to you, Spears, in response to what you just said is this. As a former football player, we won't mention the team you used to play for. No need to do that. But as a former football player, you've seen many of occasions where people have pushed and pushed and pushed and couldn't move a damn thing, haven't you? I don't give a damn whether it's pushing a wall, moving a tire, moving an offensive lineman, defensive line, whatever the case may be. They pushed. That didn't mean a damn thing. Did you get it done? There are many occasions where people push hard and nothing gets done. And I think that that's going to be the case with the Baltimore Ravens. And I tell you what I'm intrigued by. I want to see this Cleveland rematch against the Baltimore Ravens.
Why do you think that, though? Why do you think that about the Ravens?
I just think the way other teams are playing, because of the way the Ravens have struggled, even though I don't expect them to struggle as much as they did in terms of their overall performance, I think ultimately when you have the second worst passing attack in the National Football League and you have a quarterback that's been challenged throwing the football and he's pretty much devoid of a number one receiver, I think that has spelled doom for the Baltimore Ravens. I think that's why their record is being close to mediocre. But in the end, even though I believe in their overall talent, the fact that I'm watching teams around the AFC ascend, we've seen, even though Tennessee's been up and down and Indianapolis has been up and down, we've seen what they can do. We've seen the Raiders, they get through the skin of their teeth against the Jets. One would hope that they'll play a little bit better. We've seen Miami and Buffalo. I just think there are too many pieces around Baltimore in the AFC for Baltimore to overcome. I think they have to be nearly perfect the rest of the way to get to the postseason. And I say their passing attack doesn't
maybe starts with the Cowboys.
They will do that.
Well, I would rebuttal
the Colts
that.
Also have the Texans. The Colts have the Texans and the Raiders and some losable games on their schedule. And Phillip Rivers and the Colts are going to have to show that they can do it when it counts right now. They have 3 games they could lose out of their next 4. It's possible.
Yeah, I agree.
And if I'm the Ravens, that's who I'm looking at. I'm looking to catch them.
And see, I'm making that claim too, Stephen A. And your points are perfect. But I think it's more in the lane of what Max said. We don't know that about a lot of these other AFC teams you mentioned either. We don't know if they're going to show up. Tennessee,
but at the moment they have a better record.
At the
moment, they have a better record, a game or 2 or even 3 games up on Baltimore.
Understandably
Odds are
so.
against the Ravens.
But I have the confidence in what I know about Harbaugh and the Ravens organization going down the line more so than I have for the other AFC teams that may even be in front of them right now. Okay. Like, the bottom line is this. The Titans, I understand that they can play Jekyll and Hyde and be a one team one week and one team the other week. The Titans defensively are broken, though. Like, this is a team where when you look at them, they have so many deficiencies defensively that I don't feel comfortable saying the Titans are going to finish this season strong. They could drop 2 more before this season is over with. I look at the Colts. Obviously, we've seen them have the ups and downs and DeForest Buckner being out and all of those things transpiring. But I don't know if I trust them. And that's really what it boils down to. There is no analytical facts. There is no stats to this. What I've seen from the Baltimore Ravens and their ability to not only galvanize, play strong down the stretch, but also see Lamar Jackson take a step forward when we've all kind of doubted him at times. I just have a firm belief that the Ravens are more prone to finish